Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
A tragedy in Ocean Beach tonight. A teenage boy skipping school with his friends jumps from the Sunset Cliffs. He was never seen alive again. Good evening, I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Sweetwater High School has confirmed the victim is 10th grader Anthony Womack. And our 10 News reporter Anthony Pura spoke to one of the divers who pulled the boy out. Anthony.
Well, it took divers nearly an hour to find the teen because they say the visibility underwater was just so bad. This is the area of Sunset Cliffs where that teen jumped into the water, and you can see signs posted here warning people not to do that, but many people ignore these warnings. These flowers left on Sunset Cliffs came with a note for the young man who jumped into the water Wednesday morning. The note says, "We are praying for you and your family and want to see a positive outcome," signed a neighbor.
He's a humble kid. He's a really humble kid.
His friends say the teen is a student at Sweetwater Union High School. He apparently ditched class with a group of friends for a day at the cliffs. He reportedly panicked as soon as he jumped off the rocks and into the water. His friends didn't know he couldn't swim.
And luckily we were just kept at it.
Lieutenant Rich Stropke was part of the search team. He says the visibility underwater was next to zero. And just as they were nearing the hour mark, a diver felt him at the bottom of about 8 feet of water near the area where he jumped in.
The individual that found him, the lifeguard did, thought at first maybe it's the body of one of the other line searchers. And then there was no movement from it, and then realized that it could possibly be the person that we were looking for. So when we surfaced the individual, he was not responsive. We took him right up on the bluff immediately.
Emergency crews performed CPR and took the teen to the hospital.
The lifeguards are here every day telling them not to jump off the rocks. They don't listen, and they still do it.
Longtime residents say cliff jumping is an ongoing problem despite the warnings, and lifeguards say they end up doing a handful of major rescues from this section of the cliffs each year.
We need people to just really understand that it really is dangerous, and we should just, be safe when it comes to the water.
The Sweetwater Union High School principal sent out a notice to parents telling them about the incident and the loss of one of their students. There will be counselors and other resources available for students tomorrow. We're reporting live tonight. Anthony Pura, 10 News.
Such a sad development. Thank you, Anthony. This area is known to be a problem spot. Last December, a lifeguard heroically rescued a surfer at Sunset Cliffs who broke his board. In 2015, our 10 News cameras caught young people illegally jumping off the cliffs repeatedly. They did it despite the area being filled with signs saying it's against the law. And in 2012, a 16-year-old boy was injured when he jumped off the cliffs and then someone jumped on top of him.
We are still waiting to learn the identity of a man found dead attached to his surfboard off Moonlight Beach. Lifeguards found him submerged just before 2:30 this afternoon. Our reporter Laura Acevedo explains this part of the ocean can be a challenge even for experienced surfers.
Lifeguards were monitoring the water from this lifeguard tower here at Moonlight Beach when they noticed a surfboard floating. They quickly ran to help, but by then it was too late.
Surfers were back in the water Wednesday afternoon, just hours after lifeguards found a man underwater attached to his board.
These are challenging, and I was saying earlier, this is the last thing we want to do is pull somebody in those conditions.
Lifeguards say the waves were 3 to 4 feet high with a few up to 6 feet. Captain Larry Giles says no one reported a surfer going under. It was one of his lifeguards who spotted the floating board with no one in sight. Surfers at Moonlight Beach were shocked to hear what happened, explaining that this surf spot can be unforgiving.
Usually in really shallow water, so the waves could get 4 to 6 feet and kind of crash right on your head.
Lifeguards believe the surfer was alone. It'll be up to the medical examiner to identify him.
Respect the ocean, respect the waves, and be careful.
And although we don't know exactly how this person died, lifeguards are using this as an example, reminding anyone that if you're getting in the water, it's best to do so with a friend. From Moonlight Beach, Laura Acevedo, 10 News.
And when more information is released about this tragic story, you can count on 10 News to send it out on the 10 News mobile app.
I don't feel safe. There's a lack of transparency that's played out again and again on this campus.
USD students say they felt kept in the dark about threats made by a professor. 10 News reporter Matt Boone explains the threats were made a week ago, but the university only made it public today after we started asking questions.
Yeah, the university finally sent out an email to all the students this afternoon, but a lot of the information is contained in this application for a restraining order against that professor filed by another professor who writes, "If he comes unexpectedly to my home, church, or children's school, I want my family to be safe."
There have been threats to other professors on campus made by another professor.
After the news broke, a group of students gathered to protest and to spread the word.
I feel like that's something that I should have had the heads up before I came to campus. We have systems in place for public safety here.
We spoke to senior Alexa Withrow before the university had sent out the campus-wide email.
I don't feel safe. There's a lack of transparency that's played out again and again.
According to a restraining order obtained by 10 News, the professor is Louis Kamjathi, a Taoism and Chinese religion specialist. The university says he admitted to posting flyers in the Theology and Religious Studies building, targeting 3 other faculty members, calling them fascists and pseudo-scholars, and also including a picture of Sarah Huckabee Sanders. The university says he also slipped this image of rifle crosshairs under 2 professors' doors. In emails provided in the restraining order application, Kamjathi had been denied a promotion earlier this year. The application suggests the threats were made in retaliation. The flyers were found on September 1st, and the restraining order was filed on September 6th. The university says they notified police immediately after learning about the incidents, but SDPD says they only began investigating today. That lapse in time concerning to Withrow, who says schools must be vigilant now more than ever.
I feel like if something like this happens in today's climate with the gun violence reports that are happening throughout news and media every day, we should have known about it. We shouldn't be in the dark.
And the university says that Kamjathi is currently suspended. He's not allowed on campus or to participate in any university events until the investigation is completed. Reporting in Linda Vista, Matt Boone, 10 News.
And tomorrow, USD will hold its Mass of the Holy Spirit at the Immaculata, which is tradition at the start of every school year. It's unclear whether the school will have additional security in light of these threats.
Today, the Supreme Court cleared the way for new asylum restrictions to take effect. Now, this would allow the Trump administration to enforce a new rule which prevents nearly all Central American immigrants from seeking asylum in the U.S. The justice's order temporarily overrides a lower court ruling which blocked the new asylum policy in some border states. The policy is meant to deny anyone who passes through another country on the way to the U.S. without seeking protection there first.
And the top 10 Democratic presidential candidates are facing off tomorrow night in Houston, right here on ABC 10. For the first time, voters will see them all on one stage. ABC's Ines de la Catera has the showdown that could help decide who will face off against the president next year.
It'll be the first time the top 10 Democratic candidates will be facing off on the same stage on the same night. Former Vice President Joe Biden will take center stage. Biden remains the front runner. But this time, Senator Elizabeth Warren will be right by his side as she's been gaining in the polls.
I think seeing Biden and Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, frankly, on the stage next to each other, the 3 of them alone have just an enormous share of the Democratic electorate right now.
The ABC News Democratic debate comes as a new ABC News Washington Post poll shows the top 5 candidates, Biden, Warren, Harris, Sanders, and Buttigieg, all beating Trump in one-on-one matchups. The president's approval rating is down 6 points from his all-time high of 44% in July to 38% now. Trump's handling of the economy is also down 5% among registered voters. The president calling the findings phony on Twitter. The front-running candidates spending Wednesday preparing for the big day, none of them holding any campaign events today. Andrew Yang choosing instead to let loose with a round of basketball.
One of my favorite things to do on the road, because it gets the blood flowing.
He's one of several candidates in need of a jolt, hoping tomorrow night's debate will upend the race. Ines de la Catera, ABC News, Washington.
We'll carry the debate live tomorrow night right here on ABC 10. It starts at 5 o'clock, followed by a special post-debate edition of 10 News at 8 o'clock.
A bill heading to Governor Gavin Newsom's desk could be the end of gun shows at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. Assemblymember Todd Gloria and Tasha Burner Horvath co-authored that bill. It looks to end the sale of guns and ammo at the fairgrounds starting in 2021. The company that owns the gun show, Crossroads of the West, says that ban violates its First and Second Amendment rights and civil rights. Gloria says the bill is about offering more than thoughts and prayers. The governor has until October the 13th to veto or sign that bill.
Today, divers recovered the body of the last victim of the boat fire off Santa Cruz Island. 34 people were killed on Labor Day after the boat caught fire and sank. Authorities are still doing DNA testing to confirm the identities of 7 of the victims. Salvage efforts to recover the boat, named the Conception, also resumed today. Still no word on the cause of the fire. Today, the Coast Guard issued safety recommendations to lower the risk of fire hazards on boats, and they include limiting the unsupervised charging of lithium-ion batteries and the use of power strips and extension cords.